Good afternoon, I'm Dr. Pat Stroh, and I'm here to talk with you today about famous people. But how are you enjoying your cruise so far? Great, huh? How about some of those surprises we've had? We saw whales, we didn't expect to see that, and we saw the space shuttle, did not expect to see that. And well, my husband and I had a bit of an unexpected thing happen when we were in one of those tiny villages on our tour. We could not decide how to pronounce the name, and went in. We decided we'd go into one of the places and just ask. So we went in, we asked the young man behind the counter, "How do you pronounce the name of this place?" And he said, very slowly, McDonald's. So that's what we find sometimes now in our travels. Surprising. So anyway, I am here to talk with you about origins of fame, and we have had a couple of discussions already about famous people. I am Dr. Pat Stroh, and I've spent my life working and studying about human development. I have particularly written articles and published papers about famous people and about things that they have done. And I've taught college and university. This is the view from my house in San Francisco, California. Now, over the next few days, I will continue to be leading you through a look famous people from the places we have visited and what leads certain people to fame. In this lecture series, we will learn about the famous people in each area who have contributed and helped define the culture of each stop of our trip. Also, my husband Dave is your astronomy lecturer and has his own great stories and information to share. Many of the stories and information that have defined what I know about famous people, I learned from Cradles of Eminence. Cradles of Eminence was written some years ago, and it was extremely influential to my studies. The authors, Ted and Mildred Gertzel, used the term eminent to research and describe famous people because they became important enough to have books written about them. Now, as we look at and talk about famous people over the course of the next few days, I would like to point out that we'll be talking about all kinds of famous people in the stops that we will have on this cruise, not just those related to film stars, actors, or people in music, but we're looking at artists, authors, politicians, everything from Caesars to chefs, to look at the world around us from the view of famous people. Now, some of the common characteristics of famous people are that famous people are often passionate, extreme, single-minded, eccentric, yet brilliant. As children, they often had a tendency to create a fantasy world, complete with languages and characters. This sounds a lot like some of my children as they were growing up, my own children. Leo Tolstoy had such a secret world, and with his siblings, he could imagine their world full of perfect peace. Now, some of the future presentations that I'll be talking about over the next few days is in Rome. We'll be talking about From Caesar to Sophia Loren, how Romans have impacted the world. In Florence, in Pisa, Italy, we'll be talking about the warmth of the Tuscan sun, and from there sprang Pinocchio, Raphael, Galileo, Da Vinci, and others. And also we'll be visiting Cannes, France, and there we'll talk about the playground of the rich and famous and take a look at Lord Brougham, who started the whole society there in Cannes, and Grace Kelly, her friends, and all the rich and famous people who just can't get enough of Cannes. Now, as we talk about famous people and the characteristics that we have, one is of being gifted. Many of you have talked to me and heard me speak about being gifted. And so lots of famous people are characterized as gifted, but they are often unable to follow the norm. Bill Gates was a gifted youngster who was impatient with others who were not as gifted as he was. He was so impatient, he really didn't even want to finish school. In fact, here's a rather happy-looking, younger-age Bill in a 1977 photo after a traffic violation. And since he really seemed to be such a steady guy all those years, maybe he was happy that he'd finally done something that wasn't so much fun. So anyway, thank you very much, and we'll talk to you later. Thanks. Thanks, Dave.